figures it out every time.
Word.
Well, cool. Yeah, we're live. Dirt from the Road. Julia Steiner, Ratboys, and she's in Chicago. You're in Chicago, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am.
Pardon
Where are
my
you?
face and my Elf's hat today. I know it's a pretty weird look, but spice it
No.
up for the people. I'm in Milwaukee. I'm just up the road from you.
Easy. That's great. I love the elf
Tremendous.
set.
Hell yeah. And you just got back from Japan, is that right?
Yeah, we did about let's see, at this point about a month ago. That was a really, really great time. That's where I got this sweater actually. They have Steelers stuff over there. Somehow.
That's a funny thing about Japan, huh? They have all this vintage American sports jerseys. You see them like every other block, it seems, sometimes.
I know. It's pretty wild. Like we got to go there once before in 2018, and I had the opportunity to buy this really awesome SpongeBob crew neck sweater where he's like giving the finger, and it's a whole thing, and I didn't buy it, and I've like lived with that regret for 6 years or whatever. So this time I was like, if I see a cool like weird sweatshirt, I'm gonna buy it. And this
Did you book the second Japan tour for the sole purpose of finding the SpongeBob sweatshirt?
Pretty much, yeah. I didn't find it, but it was worth it to try. Yeah.
How did the first Japan tour come about? What got you going over there in the Far East?
It's just a totally like lucky coincidence where we met a guy named Hajime down at the Fest in Gainesville, Florida, which is kind of like this long-running DIY like punk festival that we've played a couple times. And this guy Hajime is just a huge fan of like American emo music, but specifically Midwestern stuff, like Chicago music.
Oh, nice.
And he like, has played in many bands that have like, toured over here, and he's just like kind of really enmeshed in that scene. And so yeah, he like invited us to come over for that first tour in 2018, and then this time invited us back as well, so we're really lucky to know him.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true with Japan. I remember seeing like Midwest emo bands going over there like over the years, like Bob Nana stuff and Braid and
he's
Mercedes and all that kind of stuff.
He's literally having Braid this month, like their 20th anniversary
Nice
tour.
Were the shows bigger than the first time, or was it similar? What was the vibe?
No, it was actually very similar. We played a few of the same venues, which was cool. And they didn't feel like substantially more like crowded or anything even. It just almost felt very like going back to a place that we loved. And I don't know if we saw too many of the same people in the crowd or what. It's hard to tell. I mean, there's the language barrier and all that, but it was really cool to meet so many people over there, and some of them had like the records that we don't even like have over there, so I wasn't sure where they even got the records
of
from,
your band.
Yeah, which is just insane.
Okay, like weird reissues and bootlegs and stuff.
I mean, more so just we put out an album in early 2020 and didn't like distribute it over there as far as I know, and we didn't have it with us on that tour like when we were just there, and so I have no clue like where they got that from. But hey,
it's really weird to go through like record bins in other countries like Japan, or we were just in Holland, and you see all these weird Beatles records that are like it's like an album, but it's like a different cover, or like a Dutch person designed it, or yeah, it's trippy. My friends who are real connoisseurs really go nuts for that stuff.
That's
so what's
amazing.
your day-to-day like in like when you're touring Japan? What do? Do you wake up, you just walk all day, you get lost? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool because if, we played 3 shows in Tokyo. It's like such a big city that you want to kind of play all across the city to make it easy for people, to play closer to where they live. And so on the days where we were waking up in Tokyo and playing there, we could just, have all day to like explore the city and go eat food and try to find stupid SpongeBob sweaters and, like just go on little mini adventures. And so, yeah, I mean, it was really kind of like easy in that way because we weren't like stuck in the van all the time like we are in, the US or Europe is the same. But also it's kind of, you don't feel pressure, but you want to like make the most of your time because we were only there for 6 days. And so like we really wanted to squeeze in as much as we could. Sean, our bass player, he stayed back for like 10 extra days. So I'm a little jealous.
Would it be incredible if like every tour stop was 3 days where you just had mini residencies in every town? That'd be the dream.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that actually just before we got on the call. Like I I'm kind of remembering or like memorializing our experiences at South by, like down in Austin, because all of these bands are pulling out of South by, and rightly so, for South by's like connection to Raytheon and all these terrifying like.
Oh, tell me about that. I haven't heard about that.
Okay, so apparently, and I didn't know this, maybe it's been this way for a long time, but I guess one of the biggest sponsors and like like financial backers of South by Southwest Music Festival is the U.S. Army, and like all of these scary defense contractors who have like a direct tie to all of the awful, violence that's happening right now in Gaza. And so it started with this band Squirrel Flower, who's based in Chicago, pulling out of her South by showcase, and then a few other bands have followed suit. And I've just been thinking about South by and how we may never go there. Like, I feel like South by might just like kind of cease to exist. We went for 5 or 6 years in a row at one point, and it was always so fun, mainly because of what you said. Like, it's so rare on tour to be in the same city for more than one day.
Right.
And so we just got to like settle in and play a lot of music. It was chaotic, but it was also just really chill and cool to like wake up in the same place every day for a week. And so
it's wild. Yeah.
So I'm nostalgic for that, but also I'm totally fine if we like never support this gross like capitalist.
I mean, that might be South by Southwest is probably the most lopsided like industry cash grab there is, as far as like the admin side making all the money and the musicians making $0 to $250. I guess it's a easier festival to pull out of when you're getting paid $0 to $200.
That's such a good point. That's true. I mean, pretty much the only reason you want to have the official like designation or whatever at South by is because they give you a parking pass, and that thing's like worth its weight in gold. Then you can just park wherever you want.
Parking pass.
Straight up.
Yeah. I mean, I've had great times down there. Holy shit. I mean, it's especially if you're a listener to like hop around and see all these bands up close that you love. It's truly the best. But we documented it. We went a few years ago and had classic South by Southwest meltdowns. Like had to haul a drum set across half of Austin, and so we got it all on tape. I don't know when we're gonna put it out, but I'm sure the footage is pretty funny.
Dang, I would watch that in a heartbeat. That sounds great. What is your band called?
It's Newski, Newski. We're kind of like a geek rock loser wave band from Milwaukee. Yeah, we've been at it about 10 years, so we're
Damn.
I actually got turned on to your band from the producer who does all the video, Kylie. She's like really into you guys, so she's like, awesome. You gotta have Ratboys, and then she was like, you gotta ask about the Chicago Rat Hole. Which is like which I didn't know about. It's like some viral hole in a street in Chicago shaped like a rat, and it's like this viral internet meme now where like people go visit this rat-shaped hole in the road. Is that something?
It's becoming pretty mainstream, and I guess this hole has been, for anyone who's listening who like has no clue what we're talking about, it's like this hole in the cement on the sidewalk in a very otherwise unremarkable neighborhood in Chicago. Nice neighborhood, but not much going on. It's very like residential. And some unfortunate rat got caught in the wet cement and left an imprint of its whole body in the sidewalk. Yeah, and of course there's rumors that it was actually a squirrel and whatever, but we like to believe it's a rat, and people have started kind of making a sacred pilgrimage to the rat hole and like leaving offerings, and people have gotten engaged at the rat hole, and I think there's been a marriage ceremony at the rat hole at this point, and it's just like it's a little bit out of control. But to be completely honest with you, I have not been to the rat hole. I need to go. I kind of am waiting for like a sign, like some sort of calling, like I don't know what I would do at the rat hole.
Film a music video at the rat hole.
Yeah, that's the thing. We need to like, I don't want to, I hate the word, I don't want to capitalize on this. I don't want to, I've seen a few people selling rat hole merch, and I'm like, this feels gross.
Capitalize.
Like, we don't need this. I don't know.
Like the rat's family lineage would be upset with you and want to cancel you.
It's just like, why do we have to sell this? Like, let's just enjoy this for what it is. So I haven't gone yet. I want to go with my bandmates. I want to go like all together. The thing is, these days it's like every time we get together, it's kind of precious, like, because we all live, in different places in the city, and we get together for practice and writing, and that's kind of it. And so, yeah, long story short, someday we will visit the Rat Hole, and I'm sure it will exceed my expectations, but it's there for us.
Does the band have any absurd road stories or like soul-crushing tour gigs? That's a staple question of the show. I mean, every band does. It's just like, how is your worst one, relayable?
Yeah. Well, we were actually just talking about this the other day. There have been a couple. I mean, let's see. The one that comes to mind immediately, and we were just with our friend Adam Beck, who plays drums in Into It Over It, and he was at the show as well. We played in Memphis. One of only 2 times we've played in Memphis. Both were pretty deeply bad. But this time we played at a bar called Murphy's, which I think is still around. I'm not totally sure, but we were on tour with a band called Slingshot Dakota from Pennsylvania, and it was us and them and a band called Mother Evergreen from Chicago. And we got there after Slingshot had arrived, and we walk in, and Carly from Slingshot is like in like a kind of like a shouting, like a one-sided shouting match with the owner of this bar, who was very upset because I guess they had started to load in through the wrong door. And Carly was like, well, tell us what door to load in through. I don't know. Like, I've never been here, whatever. And this guy got really upset, like kind of more than is normal. We were like very confused.
Of course, yeah.
He kind of had a little like freak out. And so we, do our best to like diffuse this situation and load in and sound check and whatever. And then later during the show, I guess this guy felt really guilty, and he came up and like started handing us like $100 bills and like these free like sunglasses, and we were like, whoa, like and I guess we asked the person who worked there, and she's like, yeah, like I think he kind of swings in these manic ways between like anger and whatever.
Wait, did he work at the venue? I'm sorry.
He owned,
owned the venue.
The venue. And then, but
Nice.
Eventually he was really drunk at the end of the night, and our drummer at the time accidentally like spilled his beer on this guy's phone. And, this guy's phone was just soaked in beer, and I don't think he even noticed. And so we were like, okay, we got to like get out of here before this guy realizes that he just gave us like $300, and that he, like, his phone is deeply, dead at this point. But anyway,
Julia,
so that wasn't the worst.
Ahead.
We like got paid, I guess, but it was pretty unsettling and very, there was like a man in a Pikachu onesie like heckling us the whole time. It was just a very chaotic experience.
Aren't the mood swings like at a venue bizarre? Like for people who come to the show, when the production turns on, the lights turn on, the music goes on, it's like all glory, but it's dark. When you're loading in, it's like cold. You go through this back alley probably, the van is always at risk of getting robbed. People at the venue can be pretty grumpy, the bartender's hungover from the night before.
Yep.
Like the pre-production of a show at a venue, it's like morale can be pretty low amongst if not the bands, certainly like, I mean, I never met a bouncer who I didn't think hated me, it's but then the lights go on, the people come in, and by the end of the night, everyone's in a chipper mood, and you leave, and the people who are grumpy to you on the way in are like giving you a hug a lot of the times, like, great job, great show. It's wild.
It's pretty nuts. Like I've told people this in the past, but I feel like, and you maybe agree, but like playing music is such a small percentage of like what you do on tour every day, and obviously it's like the best 30 to 60 minutes of your day, but so much of being in a band is like making small talk with strangers and moving your stuff. We're like professional movers at this point.
Totally.
And I'm not complaining. Like it's just the reality. And so it's wild. But I mean, I will say, like, we've definitely played some like really shockingly bad shows in the early days where, like, people were like, we can't pay you, but you can have as much coffee as you want and stuff like that. And it's like, well,
Classic.
I don't drink coffee, so I don't know. But, nothing that fully broke us. We've met some characters. I'm sure you have as well.
Oh, yeah. How's your small talk game?
I like to think it's pretty good. Actually, the job, so I work like another job outside of music just to pay the bills when we, aren't on tour. And that job actually involves a lot of small talk too. I'm like often the person at the airport holding the sign, and then I'm like helping the business traveler like get to their car or whatever. And while we're waiting for the car, we gotta, chat about. We don't have to, but I kind of like, feel it out and see how if this person wants to chat, I'm the one to chat with. And so that's how I practice. That's my small talk sharpening skills,
Oh, so do you ever get to pick anyone up in a limousine or anything like that?
So I'm not actually the one driving the car, but yeah, sometimes it's not really like I've never worked where it's like a stretch limo coming up, but it's often like a very nice, like SUV, like big black SUV or something
Stretch
like that.
limos are done. You don't even see them anymore, really. It's like such a 1992 move.
You don't need that for one person, but you do need like a nice black car. So that's what I'm working with. But
is this O'Hare Airport?
Oh yeah, it's my backyard. I love it.
Dang, I love O'Hare. It's like such an exciting place. Like I mean, taking the bus from Milwaukee to Chicago, you're getting on an airplane, you're sitting on a chair in the sky. Wow. But it must be different when you have to go there to work. Do you ever get bitter at like people traveling? You like, you fuckers.
A little bit. I mostly get bitter at O'Hare for the like startling lack of signage in the airport. Like, there are more signs now than there were a year ago. And I'm like, how has it taken this long for there to be a sign telling people where to catch an Uber? But I often think, O'Hare should be paying me as well when I'm on the job for this company that I work for, because I spend a lot of my day just fielding questions from weary travelers who have no clue where they're going. Yeah, and I mean, I'm happy to help them, but I'm like, goddamn, O'Hare, like invest in some more signs. It wouldn't kill you, But
signs are key.
Signs are key.
People ever like, hey, at the airport, they're ever like, hey, it's Julia Steiner from acclaimed rock band Ratboys. That ever happened to you?
That has happened to me once, and it was really actually very like awkward, because I think this guy like said that, a variation of that sentence to me without really thinking. And then once I maybe thinking that it wouldn't be me, and then when I confirmed that it was, he was like, oh, like that's weird. You know what I mean? And then like left before I could even like say
like he was shocked you had a day job kind of thing?
I guess, yeah. Or like he just didn't think he'd see me at the airport, which why would you think that, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, it was disappointing for him maybe. But
where else has the band gotten that's been like off the beaten track besides Japan? You go anywhere else weird?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think. In maybe not so much on these recent tours. We've like kind of stuck to bigger cities and stuff, but we have some crazy, like great memories of, one time we got to go to Croatia, which is a very kind of off the beaten path stop for a Europe tour. And we played like a house show there, like in some person's cabin in the woods. It was like really, really cool. So that was special. And yeah, shoot, I'm trying to think. Like,
what's the money there? Kroner? Like, is it like 2,000 kroner to $1 or something bizarro?
Yeah, something crazy like that, where I just give up and can't do the math and just hope that I'm like not, getting ripped off or whatever. But yeah, there's like a bunch of countries over in Europe that have their currency is called kroner, and so it gets really confusing.
Yeah, totally.
It's this is why we have to hire someone to help us over there, because I already like suck with money, and in the US it's like one currency and I'm trying my best, and over there it's like 10 or whatever.
You just hire a specific currency conversion guy for the tour. It's his only job.
Yep, he has to be razor sharp at the drop of a hat. We might need a fresh conversion.
It does feel good though to be like, someone comes up to your merch table, they're like, oh, hello, Julia Steiner. How much is your vinyl record? And you have to tell them, it's 30,000 kroner, and then you take 30,000 kroner, and that feels good. It feels like a lot, I mean, almost any currency besides U.S. dollars or British pounds or euros, it's like you convert Mexican pesos 20 to $1. Wow, it's like being in Monopoly or something.
That's how it is in Japan too. Like the, vinyl records are like, what is it? Like 20,000 yen or something. And yeah,
Yeah.
it feels very, very sought after, very, luxury item, I suppose. But yeah, no, it's wild. I mean, that is why in Europe, when we have our little merch sign, it's a chalkboard because every day, this is another thing maybe people wouldn't think about on tour. I'm sure you've experienced this in Holland and wherever else. Like, when you go from country to country, you gotta adjust your merch prices because all the currencies are different. So we just erase our little chalkboard and, start again. But man, what did you think of? Did you go to Amsterdam?
Yes. Love Amsterdam. I've had great times there. Actually, I squatted in an attic there on the first tour for like 6 days and peed in a jar. That was fun.
Cool.
But things have since improved.
Well, now you can just pee in the canal. You just got to find a wait, I shouldn't say that. I'm not endorsing that practice. No, Amsterdam is like the most like walkable, beautiful city. I felt like I was like in a movie set the whole time. It was kind of
It's pretty good.
Amazing.
It's pretty good. I've always had maybe like my worst European shows in Amsterdam. I don't know why that is, but what's your best country for Ratboys? Where do you guys do the best in Europe?
I think as of now, it's probably the UK, which is why we're going back there this summer. And I don't know if that's just because they speak English there, so all of my like ridiculous, rambling in between songs on stage is making more sense, or maybe at least is just understandable. Because that's something I struggle with, in like France or wherever I'm like just rambling and people probably are like, please stop.
You just love it. You just love bantering between songs. You can't stop.
I do. And I mean, I have to tune. I'm one of those unfortunate souls that writes songs in, all sorts of different tunings and capo and whatever. And so I like to fill the space with a little bit of, like, it feels like conversation, even though obviously it's very one-sided. It's just me, but it feels like natural to me. But yeah, then in countries where like most people don't speak English, it's, I'm sure, maybe annoying, but maybe it's annoying everywhere. Who knows? But yeah, the UK is, I guess, our best. But we've like randomly had really good shows. Okay, we one time had a really good show in Madrid, and that was our first ever like time going to Europe, and that was our only time there. And I'm always really curious if that was just like a one-off, like a random room of people that were just really excited for music, not for us necessarily, or if we like have fans there. I can't tell. So I want to go back there someday, but we'll see.
It can be hard to know, I think just like you never know who's going to come back. You can kill in a room one year and own the room and sell 100 records, and like, I mean, some of those people will be back the next year, but you never know. Like they might have since had a kid, and they got 3 jobs and a packed calendar. So yeah, it's
totally
it's a fast world. What kind of got you guys on the rocket ship as a band? Like what was kind of were there any pivotal moments where you just kind of went from like the pure DIY crusty adventures circuit to leveling up, playing better rooms, playing to more people?
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty kind of specific moment for us that I look back as being pretty pivotal, where we started working with a booking agency in 2017. And at that point, we had been doing the whole DIY touring crusty circuit, like you said, for about 2 years. Actually, like almost exactly 2 years, like May of 2015 to May of 2017. And it all started because back in the day, we were playing with a different bassist who was like Dave's childhood neighbor and high school friend. And he was also playing in a band called Dowsing, who's based in Chicago. And because we shared a member, we would often like play shows with Dowsing, and we became really close with their other members as well. And still to this day, they're like some of our best friends. And randomly, like long story short, through knowing those guys, like they're the first people that invited us. Like we went over to Europe with them the first time, and that was very DIY. Like that was not through an agency or anything, but we went with them. They invited us in 2016, and then through this is such a crazy lineage or whatever, but like their bass player was playing in a band called Power Bottom, which doesn't exist anymore. But through
Amazing band name.
I know, yeah, straight up. But through him playing in that band, he like became friends with their manager, who was really good friends with this guy that is now still our booking agent. And so it's just like one thing led to another of, him recommending us to his friend who did the same. And so long story short, yeah, like really that was the first relationship other than working with our record label Top Shelf. Is the first time that anyone really kind of went out of their way to like want to invest their time into what we were doing. So yeah, that was really exciting. And we still work with him, and he's like one of our closest like partners or whatever. So.
You can't put a price on a good agent. They really kind of see the whole spider web behind the scenes, like ahead of the rest of the industry. So
yeah, and like
the intel.
I'm really grateful because all the people that we work with none of them are trying to like get rich quick or whatever. Like your stereotypical like music industry people who want to find the next big thing and like break the like hot young artist on TikTok. Maybe these people don't exist. Maybe I'm just like
I was just gonna say. Yeah, I don't know. They must exist in like the real pop world where you and I don't really hang out or probably like have interest in. But yeah, it does. It definitely seems like anything indie. It's like you're just in it to maybe make a living or because you love it.
Well, yeah, that's that's
90s
what I was.
Era of just money.
Right. Exactly. That's like what I was going to say is, the people we've been lucky to work with do kind of value the whole picture, like you said, the whole web, like, the slow growth aspect, like just trying to build something that's, like a good foundation, sustainable. Like these things take time, and so I'm grateful that, everyone is quite patient and like willing to grow with us. So. It's been good.
Well, I think if we're talking about like industry vampires or the cliche like guy with a cigar in his mouth, like, hey, I'm gonna take it at the top, but then takes almost all the money on the back end. I guess that probably takes the form in like more of the tech side or the people building apps, and you see that a lot with. Obviously Spotify's the big one, but that is where all the money is made, and by all the money, I mean all of it. And almost none of it is going to the actual art. But that's a tale as old as time. Is like capitalizing on the hopes and dreams of musicians. And we gotta unionize, Julia Steiner. How do we unionize? We need Bon Iver to lead us and form a union. Somebody of note to come in and organize.
I think it's got to be him. What's he doing these days? We need to get him on the horn.
He's probably drinking old fashions in Eau Claire, just taking it easy,
God bless him. We need a Bon Iver bat signal ASAP in the sky.
Yeah, totally.
In Wisconsin. Well, I agree. Yeah, did you see this bill that is being proposed now by Rashida Tlaib? It's like a fair pay for musicians bill.
Tell me more.
I don't know much about it other than I signed a petition for it yesterday. And I don't even know if the petition actually does anything other than just saying, I like this. But Rashida Tlaib, who's a pretty progressive congresswoman, is working with this UMA, United Musicians and Allied Workers. It's like a union that has sprung up as maybe one of the bigger ones potentially to represent, musicians and people in this industry. But I don't know how much widespread support there will be in Congress for a bill that props up artists at the expense of nothing. So
yeah, it's funny to picture like Newt Gingrich being like, we need more indie rock.
I thought he died. Is he alive?
Yeah, he's dead. He was just the first like old school politician I thought of.
Word. Yeah, I don't think I don't know if a Joe Biden White House is going to really have much to say about this, but who knows? It's at least a good thing that people are that any person in Congress is thinking about this. But yeah, my hopes aren't super high for like an immediate, outcome. But
yeah, you got to wonder. It's kind of interesting to think, has any president ever listened to even like Modest Mouse.
Obama,
or like
man.
Was he was like a music fanatic?
He's still every year, like I think twice a year. It's him and his PR team. Who knows if he's actually creating these playlists, but I think twice a year he puts out like, this is what I've been listening to. And
that's awesome. Right.
I know, it's pretty cool. Like some bands, that we know have been on these playlists and stuff. So he's got some pretty diverse taste. If, once again, I shouldn't even be doubting him, but you must say, if he's the one that's actually listening, you never know what's actually on Obama's, Spotify.
I would love
search.
to play 5-on-5 pickup basketball with Obama.
You should.
Hear he's pretty good at hoops. I should do that, Steiner. I think it'd be
get down to Chicago.
Morale.
Just hang out near his library. He might just show up one day.
Does he own a library, or he just
They're
lurks?
building it. They're building it on the south side. It's like, because after every president leaves office, they build a presidential library, like in honor of him. Obviously, there's
every president.
Yeah, every single one has a library.
So Donnie has a library.
Great question. I actually don't know. I thought this was a thing that every president does, but that is hilarious to imagine a Donald Trump library. What would be in it?
Probably just a shitload of copies of Mein Kampf.
Just like shelves and shelves of like cocaine vials. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Mein Kampf.
I'm sure it'd be like pharmaceuticals. Like it wouldn't be like pure cocaine. It'd be like some like sort of legal like speed, or maybe that would be hidden inside of copies of Freakonomics or something.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
It actually sounds like a fun library.
I know. This is probably like in Atlantic City. It's probably there. We just don't know about it. Yeah, we'll have to go look. But Obama's is going to be on the south side of Chicago. There was a bit of a hubbub about, is this going to gentrify like Hyde Park? And I don't know. Everyone gets upset whenever anything happens. The G word. Yeah, exactly. But no, I think it'll be a nice thing to have, and maybe Obama will just hang out there and read. Who knows?
Were you ever an athlete growing up?
No. I wish. I tried to be. I tried really hard to be, actually. But
what like subsect of high school clique were you in?
I was in okay, so my high school, I went to an all-girls high school, and there were like 199 of us in my graduating class. So it was a pretty small class, and so for that reason you knew everyone. The group of friends I was in, I honestly don't even know what other people thought of us. We were probably just like maybe people thought we were like stoners or whatever. I didn't smoke weed until the summer after I graduated high school, so that wasn't accurate. But maybe we were like I don't know. But I was like I took hard classes in high school and stuff, so I was kind of a nerd too. I kind of like did my best to just be friends with everyone, for lack of a better word. But I definitely wasn't an athlete. I definitely wasn't in that clique.
Were you in the school band?
I was in choir.
Okay.
We actually didn't have a school band, which is, looking back, pretty disappointing. But yeah, I was in multiple choirs. That was my big like after school activity. But yeah, in grade school I played flag football for the local Y, and unfortunately my coach was very sexist and like wouldn't let me. He made me the center every play, which means that I like am the one that hikes the football back to the quarterback, and then I would just like go out in the flat every play, and they never threw it to me. And so it was just like,
this
clearly
guy's going down. We'll post his address.
I know.
In the comments.
I wish I knew his name. I would blast him. Yeah, like it's pretty upsetting. But I loved being a part of the team, and it was fun playing, practicing and stuff. But that was never going to be my long-term, path. Because I'm
highly lucrative career of flag football.
I know, like YMCA flag football. Yeah, no, it was. I wish. I mean, my dream as a child was to be like a sports journalist, like Susie Kolber. Do you ever know her?
Yeah, sure.
On the
Susie
sidelines.
Kolber rules.
Yeah, she actually
nice.
she just retired, and she was always like my hero, like my career dream, like role model, I guess is the word. And so that was my big dream for myself. But
so what sports were you really into as a kid and college?
Mostly American football.
Okay.
I became a much bigger baseball fan when I moved to Chicago because we have like 2 teams, which is pretty sweet. And the Cubs won the World Series like right when 2 years after I moved here, and so that was very exciting. But college basketball was like the big sport in Louisville where I grew up, and so I followed
you're
that.
From Louisville, nice.
Yeah. It's cool. But I've actually spent a lot of time in Milwaukee. I have a bunch of family there, aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff. So that was actually the first baseball game I ever went to was at Miller Park Brewers game. I don't remember who they played. I wasn't really paying attention to the game. I was just stoked to be there. But yeah, I still love it all. Like I'm playing fantasy basketball this year for the first time.
NBA?
Yeah. And I know like some of the players, but I like truly don't keep up with it. And so the cool thing is you can like set your lineup ahead of time. So that's what I do. I just go in and like do it weeks in advance so that I don't think about it. But then I'm not thinking about it, and I have no clue what's going on. So
it's easier to get into NBA when your home team is good, and the Bulls kind of stink right now.
Oh, they're bad. They've been bad for a long time.
The Bucks were stinky as long as I've been alive, and now they're awesome. And now I'm really back into the NBA with a vengeance. I was actually just at my parents' house, and I went in the attic, and I found all my old like sports trading cards from the early '90s, late '90s.
Amazing.
And I've just been like, whenever I go out and I like just want to weird somebody out or make conversation, I just walk up to him and hand him like a Scottie Pippen rookie card or something, and then it's just fun.
Damn,
I don't know. It's weird.
You're like a basketball fairy. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm the Pied Piper of 1993 sports trading cards.
Damn, that's a good thing to be known as around town, I'd say.
It's basically like buying someone a drink. You hand somebody a Pippen card. That's like a $6.50 value. You can in Milwaukee. You can get an IPA for $6.50.
Easy. Yeah, just fucking. That's like bartering. That's good.
That's pretty good.
Man.
That was always the thing. Like with my folks, that was the selling point. My brother and I would say, we'd be like, well, these trading cards are going to be worth so much. This one's already worth $10. And then my dad would go like, yeah, why don't you sell it then? Why don't you get $10 for it? And we'd be like, oh, it's impossible. No one will actually pay for that.
That's so funny.
Man,
oh my God.
the entertainment value we got out of that useless cardboard, huge.
It's nice. It makes you feel like you're a part of something, you know?
Were you into Pogs at all? Do you have any good hobbies growing up?
I can't say I was into that because I don't even really know what that is. That sounds so familiar to me. I feel like Dave, my dear Dave, might have been into that kind of thing. Growing up, let's think. I was, pretty into music. I would like collect CDs and things of that nature. Trying to think. All of my friends growing up like were my neighbors pretty much, and they were all boys, and so my whole thing was just trying to fit in with that crew, and we would play like Roller Coaster Tycoon all day long. And
I love that game.
Yeah, and me too. They don't make it like they well actually apparently you can get it for Xbox now, which is pretty sweet. I was really into like The Sims. Like I didn't really play many video games that weren't like
big time.
Just spend 8 hours on a computer like making a house, like it was so time consuming, but in a beautiful way.
Well, those were super creative games,
Yeah.
But it was like that would eat way more time than like NBA Jam. You're like building a roller coaster theme park. It's gonna take you days.
I know it's you feel pretty accomplished by the end of it too. But yeah, I mean, Pokemon was like a big thing growing up. Trying to think. I like tried to avoid all the things my sisters were into, but I was like secretly kind of jealous, and they seemed cool. Like they were really into Webkins and Neopets and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, I'm too old for that. But then I actually thought it was pretty sweet.
So your little sisters at the time you said were cooler than you?
Probably much cooler, I would say. Like
now they probably think you're pretty cool though, hey?
I think they've always thought I was cool, but I'm glad that we're all like quite close now, Like growing up I thought I was the oldest, and so I didn't want to like, hang out with little kids or whatever, but I I'm very grateful to have 3 sibs, and we all get along great.
That's amazing,
but but like, did you ever watch the Twilight movies?
Never saw him.
Never saw him.
Pattinson?
Pattinson.
No, never saw him.
Yeah, Pattinson. Me neither until pretty recently. I gotta say, these films are like camp to the highest degree. Deeply entertaining.
Is camp good?
Camp, in my opinion, is quite good.
Camp is good.
Camp is good.
Does camp mean cheesy?
Yeah, I think it's something that's kind of cheesy in almost a self-aware way.
Okay, like good cheesy. All right.
Yes, and just kind of
got it.
Ridiculous in a way that can like feel lighthearted, even if the actual subject matter is like supposed to be pretty intense. Like, people die in these movies, like, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but, there's blood, there's glass breaking, so, but, all that to say, my sisters loved that stuff when it came out, and I was always like, I'm too old for this. Even though I was like 12, I was like in the target demographic for this stuff, and so now they've gotten me back into it now. Well,
it is interesting because it's like the reverse is true, right? Little sisters always want to like their older sister's CD collection, or the older sister influences the younger one. But yeah, I could see where being an older sister, it's hard to take influence from the younger sibs, and that just seems like true across the board in the world. It's like older bands don't always want to be like, oh, these young bands are kicking ass, I want to be like them. They're like, these kids are doing it wrong. It's just it's pretty classic,
I guess. I mean, I feel grateful because I'm definitely not jaded in that way yet, where like I look at the younger bands coming up now and I'm like, this is out of touch, whatever. Like I like am really excited about a lot of the music that like 20 and 21-year-old musicians are making these days. It's pretty fantastic, and like it's really cool because we are getting old in this way where like, and we're not, I'll turn 32 this year, so I'm not like old, but it's cool to see these bands that are like 10 years younger than us, and they're very clearly influenced in a nostalgic way by like the early 2000s, which was the music that was coming out when they were like literal children, like in kindergarten. And they're kind of like making their spin on it now. And it feels really like visceral and like very nostalgic in a way that I don't know if I could make music that like harkens back to that time in the same way. I don't know.
Great. That's great to hear. Have you teamed up with many bands like 10 years younger than you for tours or shows? Is there like much collaboration in that regard?
A little bit, yeah. We toured with a band called Free Range last fall. We actually played Milwaukee together, which was really fun. And I didn't realize how young they were. Like Sophia, I think turns 21 this year. Maybe did last year, I can't remember, but they, at a couple of these shows we had to make sure that it was like cool if the shows were 21 and up, but they like weren't, and like there's a club in Chicago called the Empty Bottle that's been around for 30 plus years.
Classic.
And a classic place, great place to see a show. All of their shows are 21 and up, and so I didn't even really I've lived the whole time I've lived here, I've been 21, so I haven't like thought about that ever. But I remember like asking Sophia once if they were going to go to a show at the Bottle, and they were like, well, I don't know, I'll see if I can get in. And I'm like, whoa, like they come off much older, you know what I mean? Like it's just I don't know, it's cool to see kids out there freaking doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wasn't good when I was in my early 20s or in a good band. Like that is super advanced.
Yep. I think back to that all the time. Or like, I was reading about that band Real Estate today, because that's a very nostalgic band for me in like the early 2010s. And I was looking, they're only like 5 years older than me. I'm like, what? Like I always just, they were like 23, 24 when they put out that album that Pitchfork loved in 2011. And I always figured they were so much older. And so, it's cool to think of bands like breaking out and hitting their stride so young, because we certainly did not do that. But
that's always how it is, right? Like age 20 and under, 18 and under, you have no concept of age.
Yeah.
So anyone older than you by even 2 or 3 years might as well be 40 or
Totally.
45, you know?
It's wild. It's crazy. That's how it goes.
And then when you're like in your 30s, you're like hanging out with people and like you just said, you find out they're like 23 and you're like, wow, I thought we were the same age. It's crazy. Yeah.
It kind of like doesn't matter. And it makes you realize like it maybe never really mattered, but it's cool to, I don't know. It's kind of nice being, how old are you?
37.
There you go. So yeah, you know maybe a little more than me, but like I feel like being in your 30s is a nice place to be. I like it.
It's been the best for sure. It's been my favorite decade so far.
You got a little bit of wisdom. You can look back.
Yeah, 86, 87, 88, 89. Those were horrible years for me. Like unemployment, didn't speak English.
Rough.
Had a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble getting by.
But when those 90s kicked in.
Yeah, 90s, I was I could walk. It was big.
Smooth sailing.
I could play kickball finally, make my dad proud.
What a dream.
What are your goals? What are your goals, Julia, for as we wind it down here? What are your goals for I don't know, life as a person outside of the band in like the coming year or two?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, one of my goals is to kind of ramp back my phone usage a little bit. I think I am not alone in this, but I've become pretty addicted to like these apps on my phone, and it's getting a little bit outrageous. Like sometimes that's like the first thing I'll do when I wake up, and that just doesn't even seem healthy. Like before I even, like pee or something, I'm just like on my phone. That seems like not good.
No, that's tough. I got some real emo bangs going on.
Your hair looks great.
Thanks.
Wow. Who knew that was under the elf hat the whole time?
My Santa hat. Yeah, I swear to God, I wasn't trying to be this emo, but it's fitting. Midwest emo all the way.
Yo, you can't hide who you are. You just gotta just embrace. But
you and I think let's make a pact. We'll when we end this episode, we'll both throw our phones in the river, or we'll both throw our phones in Lake Michigan.
We're
connected to the same lake, you know, just down the road.
I think we must. It's pretty nuts. I also want to I think I want to get a Kindle this year. I know this isn't like a goal. This is just like a plan. Like this is like something on my list of things to do. But I want to get a Kindle and I want to be able to read more on tour, because I feel like on tour I once again spend a lot of my downtime like either reading on the internet or like
doom scroll.
Yeah, we can't be doom scrolling as much. And so especially we must be thinking about this heading into the rest of this year, because it's going to be dark. It's going to be more doom than now, potentially, with this election. And so I want to be...
Not if you throw your phone in the river.
Or the lake. Exactly.
Or the lake.
Yeah, so that's my goal. Yeah, throw my phone in the lake, I think. That's my goal.
I love it. That's a great exclamation point for the end of this episode. Julia Steiner, you're the bomb. Ratboys, you're on tour. You're all over America, I think, right?
Yeah, we're going to tour a lot this year. All over America and the UK, baby. Come find us. Brilliant.
Buy tickets, buy records direct from the source. Bypass JeffBezos.com, DonnieFunbucks.com. What's the website? Ratboys.com?
Ratboysband.com, yeah.
Okay, right.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, hey, I really appreciate it. You're an easy person to talk to. You're a great hang. I love that you live just down the lake there. So that's super awesome. I'll see you in real life at some point, I'm sure.
I was gonna say, hope we get to hang. And thanks so much for having me on. It was really nice to digitally meet you and talk to you. And thanks to your producer as well for shouting us out. Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Steiner. All right, much love. Take her easy.
Sweet. See ya.